So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So Trainer Talk Tuesday, I'm Tomas Ramirez from Positive Against Training, and today I'm going to talk about how to, oh, 1 second. It's weird. All right, so Facebook is playing feedback. Turn this down. Okay, I just muted it on, muted it on Facebook. Hopefully Facebook people can see or still hear me. All right, so how to pick the best protein powder supplement. So what I did is I created a PowerPoint because I feel like it'd be more beneficial, just because I feel like you guys will be able to understand it better if you actually read it for yourself. Obviously, I don't have a whole bunch of wording on my PowerPoints as I'm going to explain it, but I'm basically going to be sharing my screen and you guys are going to learn from there. Okay, so just a couple of disclaimers. I'm not putting anybody's product on there, so I'm not going to say whose product is good, whose product is bad. That's not what this is about. Also, I'm not promoting supplements as the way to achieve excellent health. Okay, supplements are meant to supplement something that you're already doing. So, I mean, it can help you kickstart and to get into something, but ultimately, if you're looking for a supplement to just help you shred fat while you're doing absolutely nothing, there's nothing that exists that way. Okay. Thirdly, I learned most of this information from Dr. Stacy Sims, who is a women's physiologist, and she's awesome. So I learned a lot of this information. She taught me a lot of stuff, and I actually learned that my protein powder isn't the best either. Okay, it's very hard to find a good protein powder because protein powders, just supplements in general, are not FDA regulated. The reason being is because they are not basically like a medical drug. So the FDA doesn't have to regulate them. They're not used for medicine. So FDA doesn't check into it. So you can buy one thing and it can actually just be a completely different other thing. Okay, so that's why I'm not going to recommend anything because I don't know what's really in these products. What we can do is just learn what to look for and what not to look for, which is what I want to explain here. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and then the rest of this is just going to basically be a PowerPoint. Okay. Okay. So how to buy the best protein powder supplement, Positive Against Training. Our motto is Motivate, Educate, Dominate, and Transform. Okay, so we're going to start from the very basics. What is protein? So proteins are made up of amino acids, are small building blocks, and their main essential function is to build and repair our tissues. Okay, my best analogy for that is protein is the house. Amino acids are the bricks that make up the house. Okay, so protein is the big molecule. That's why it's called a macro. And the amino acids are what builds up this house or the protein itself. Okay, so amino acids are small organic compounds that make up a protein molecule. The body uses 20 amino acids. 9 of these 20 are called essential. Okay, so what's an essential? Essential means the body can't make it on its own, and food is needed or supplement is needed to meet the demands of that amino acid. Okay. The importance of the protein in the fitness community. So obviously there's a whole bunch of different importances, but we're talking about fitness specifically. Okay, so this isn't in any particular order. This is just what came to my mind that I was thinking of. First one is TEF, which stands for thermogenic effect of food. So believe it or not, somebody who eats a high protein diet can actually lose weight because the body breaks down protein. It takes more calories to break protein down than the carbs or the fats. So that's why you tend to hear people promoting protein so much for fat loss, because protein by itself actually burns up calories when consumed. Okay, so it's called the TEF. Obviously, if you're eating like a deli meat protein, which is more processed versus like a natural grass-fed beef, the grass-fed beef is going to have a higher thermogenic effect of food than a processed food will, because it just has all those different chemicals in it. Okay, so the realer your food is, the higher the thermogenic effect. Satiation, if that's how you pronounce it, I always hear different people pronounce it differently, but satiation, it's basically just you staying full. So when you consume food, you want to stay full, especially if you're in like going in a calorie deficit. It's usually what helps. It helps you feel a little bit fuller longer. Okay, muscle building and repairing is probably what we mostly known it for. So muscle building, what happens is basically it increases insulin. Insulin helps to drive the amino acids into the muscles, and which helps it to repair and to get bigger. Okay, so that's the main function as far as that. Maintenance of lean body tissue. So depending on what your goals are, if your goal is to cut calories, cut the fat, but trying to maintain muscle, you can't build muscle essentially when you're in a calorie deficit. But if you're trying to maintain, then protein is going to be your best thing because it's going to prevent what's called catabolic effect. So the muscle tissue is breaking down. Okay, it's going to prevent that for long periods of time. That's why at the bottom of that, it says anti-catabolic. Catabolic is just a fancy scientific term that means muscle breaking down or tissue breakdown. Okay, so protein helps with tissue breakdowns. All right, so we're going to talk about whey protein in particular. So whey protein actually comes from the watery part from milk, and that is separated during the cheese process. Okay, supplies all 9 essential amino acids. So again, go back to a couple slides over. The essential amino acids are the ones that the body cannot make and has to get from food or a supplement. So whey protein has all 9, which is called a complete protein. Okay. It's also highest in leucine and cysteine. So cysteine is actually, it helps boost antioxidant. The main one that it helps boost is glutathione. And it also has anti-inflammatory properties. Okay, so that means like when you eat a lot of processed foods, our bodies tend to get inflamed. So actually it's supposed to help cysteine. Leucine, which is probably the most abundant and most talked about amino acid when it comes to bodybuilding, just because it has an anabolic effect and it triggers muscle protein synthesis depending on the amount consumed. Okay, so for my clients, I have them drink BCAAs while they're working out. The reason being is we're trying to trigger that effect to get leucine up, because if we can get the leucine up, it's going to help with the muscle breakdown and also the muscle recovery. Okay, so whey protein, that's why people are always pushing, make sure you drink your protein shake after your workout, because what you just did in the gym, you just broke those muscles down. You're trying to build it back up. But what I also learned from Dr. Stacy Sims is that there's a trigger effect. So 1 scoop has around 2.7 to 3 grams of leucine, which is the effect that the body needs to kick into that the anabolic effect. So if you don't have 2.7 or 3 grams of leucine, then your body's not going to kick in that anabolic effect in the body, which again helps to not break down so much muscle mass. Okay, so that's the importance of whey and where it comes from. Next, there's 3 different main types. Okay, there's concentrate, there's isolate, and there's hydrolysate. So concentrate is actually the one that I've been consuming. I actually learned that it's the worst one you can probably be consuming out of the 3. It's 70 to 80% protein. Again, it's the lowest quality. When I say 70 to 80% protein, the other 20 to 30% is actually used with fillers and sweeteners, and it does contain lactose. So my lactose intolerant people can't take the concentrate. Now let's go down to isolate. Isolate is roughly 90% protein. It's microfiltered to remove the fat and the lactose. So that means it's lactose intolerant friendly. Okay, and it helps with the insulin spike. Why does it help with the insulin spike? Because it has more leucine than the concentrate does. Okay, so compared to concentrate, isolate is definitely a better approach, which is why it's much more expensive. Hydrolysate is 95% protein. The reason being is that it's filtered and all the fat and all the lactose is removed. So it's milk, but it doesn't have the lactose components to it. It's rapidly absorbed by the body because of how much it's broken down in the process. And again, it has that insulin spike. So this one is really expensive. Okay, so those are the 3 main types. Again, as I mentioned, I actually been taking concentrate for a long period of time. I did take isolate for a period of time, but I didn't really know the difference myself. But now I do. Okay, so we're going to talk about fillers. So as I just mentioned in the last slide, like the concentrate is about 70 to 80% protein. That means 30 to 20% has fillers. I'm sure we've seen all these. If we read a nutrition label, I have some at the very end. So we'll go through those, but just some of the fillers that we're probably common with. We'll start with artificial sweeteners, which are man-made. So this isn't, you can't find this in nature. This is actually created in a lab. We're gonna go with sucralose first. So sucralose is responsible for GI symptoms, especially in women. So if you have, like, when you drink a protein shake or you eat protein bars and you start to feel bloated, you start to have stomach aches, or you start to get gassy, it's usually because of sucralose. Sucralose isn't easily digested by the bacteria in our guts, which is also why they tend to throw in like probiotics into your supplements, because they know that the body can't digest it itself. So they try to add probiotics to help digest it for you. Okay. Hint, hint, you probably shouldn't buy it. Sugar alcohols. So again, that's also not digested by the gut. So if you see probiotics, it's because of the sugar alcohols in it. Causes buildup. So gas again. So some common examples is erythritol, xylitol, and anything that ends in an OL is an alcohol. Okay, there's some other ones out there. I'm not going to list all of them, but if you just look at the ingredients and it ends in an OL, chances are it's probably an alcohol. Okay, next one is saccharin. I really don't see that one too much, but saccharin. Aspartame, we tend to associate that with diet pops, but it can also be in the liquid form of our protein drinks. I can't think of any brands off the top of my head, but usually if you buy the pre-made drinks, chances are it might be sweetened with aspartame. Okay, and the other one that I do see quite frequently, which I had no idea what it was, but it is acetylsphingosine, potassium, and then potassium on the element table is K. So that's why I put the K. And one of the examples that I'm going to show you at the very end of this, there's actually a product that has this in there, and you'll be able to witness that for yourself. Okay, now lecithins, I see this in almost everything. I didn't know what it was, but now I do. I see this a lot in like just foods in general, especially baked goods. And what that is used for is it's used to prevent clumping. So like when you buy that like real protein powder and it doesn't break up as easy, chances are it doesn't have these lecithins in it. Okay, so when you shake up your blender bottles and it just dissolves so easy, chances are it probably has this in it. They typically come in two forms, soy and sunflower. Soy is usually the most common because soy is easily grown, but it's also one of the most genetically modified products that we have in our food. So anytime you see soy, chances are it's been somewhat processed. Okay, it has some processed foods. Then obviously we have food coloring, so like the red dyes, the blue dyes, which aren't really common in protein powders, but still is a chance that they could be in there. Okay, so those are just a couple of fillers. Those are the quote unquote bad ones. Next ones, these ones are not so bad. But one thing I did learn from Dr. Sims is that we rather have more of a natural sugar opposed to even these kinds of sugars. And the reason being is that even these sugars affect insulin. So when you're having your post-workout drink and you really want that insulin, because as I mentioned, that insulin spike is going to help drive the amino acids into your muscles, which are going to help you to build the proteins. These ones don't affect the process as much as like the other ones I mentioned in the last slide, but these ones can still have an effect as well. Although most of them are more of a natural form and can be found in nature. So the one I use commonly is stevia or stevia, however you want to pronounce that. Stevia comes from a stevia plant. Most of the products have been refined or processed, so chances are it's not as organic as it can be. So if you go to Meijer or Walmart or wherever you're located and you buy stevia sweetener, chances are it's not as organic as it could be. Thaumatin, I never heard of this, but it derives from a plant protein as well. It actually confuses our palate to make things taste sweet, even though they might be sour. Okay, so it's more of a confusing agent to the brain, makes things taste sweet. Mongroside or monk fruit, and that's probably the most natural one on this list, and it comes from the cucumber family. I never had it personally, but that is our 3 not so bad fillers. All right, nutrition label. What do we look for? So this is probably the most interesting part. This is probably why most people want to watch this, because they want to know what to buy. Like, what should I look for? So here are some things that I kind of laid out for you. So when we're reading the nutrition label, we have our ingredients. So no matter what, it should have ingredients on it. Ingredients are always listed from the most abundant product to the least abundant. Okay, so they usually say the first 3 ingredients are the most abundant throughout the whole entire whatever the thing is. Okay, so you always want to read from left to right. Whatever the first 3 ones are usually the most abundant. The ones at the very bottom, chances are they're not as sufficient in the product, but they're still in there. Okay, so always read, pay attention to ingredients. Next, you want to buy an isolate or a hydrolysate. Okay, we want to avoid the concentrate. The reason being is because concentrate tends to have more fillers than it does actually have protein, which I'll explain as we read the nutrition labels. Yes, it is a little bit more pricier. I would also like to throw in there that you want to try to buy as, well, that's my next point, grass-fed. So you want to try to buy more realistic, more homegrown stuff that hasn't just because it says isolate on it, you still want to try to go for more of like an organic or a grass-fed. We're not really athletes, at least the people I'm probably talking to is not professional athletes. But if you are an athlete and you do testing, you definitely want to know what's going into your body, because as I mentioned at the very beginning, none of this stuff is FDA regulated. So if you test some type of dirty, chances are it's probably coming from one of your products. Okay, so try to buy grass-fed. The reason why I go with grass-fed is because products come from properly fed cows that are healthy. Okay, so they're not just industrialized and they're not fed whatever's cheapest for them to just keep them alive. Okay, they're actually getting the protein or the nutrients that they need. And because of that, they're creating byproducts that are healthy for us to consume. Okay, and then avoid sugar substitutes. So go back to that last slide. Again, rewatch the video, go back to the last slide, write it down. So unflavored is usually always the best and the easiest because it just altogether avoids artificial flavors. Unflavored or, unflavored is just straight up natural whey. Like there's nothing tampered with it. It's just that. You can also add in your own flavors. Okay, so for me personally, I use an organic PB Fit or organic powdered peanut butter. Throw that into your shake. You can use your fruits. You can use coffee if you wanted to, whatever the case may be. You can add in your own that's more natural, organic than having those artificial sweeteners that's going to mess up your stomach, mess up your gut, mess up your digestion, have you gaining weight, okay, have you gassy throughout the day. We don't want that. But if you are going to buy something that's flavored, then obviously go for organic. I have an example, and I think it's the next slide, of the different products, okay, comparisons. And then lastly, lecithins. So again, we want to avoid that. It doesn't sound too harmful because you're like, well, I like my protein powder, not clump. But in all reality, again, that's been tampered. Usually it's a GMO product. So it's not true to nature. Somehow it's been processed in some way, shape, or form. And we're trying to avoid as much processed foods as possible because that just creates a whole bunch of hormonal imbalances. And we don't want that. Okay, so those are my 5 ingredients. Okay, ingredients is always listed from most abundant to least abundant. Go with isolate or hydrolysate. If you can, go with grass-fed. If not, organic should be sufficient as well. Okay, or just find a regular isolate, just see how it works, kind of get adapted to it. Avoid sugar substitutes. Try to pick unflavored if you can, just so you can sweeten up your own stuff using different things. And avoid lecithins because they're GMO usually. Okay. All right. So some examples. So we're gonna start with left to right. I try to put them in cleanest to most cleanest. None of these are really like the most cleanest, but at least these are just some examples. Okay. So here's the food labels. So we're gonna start with the one on the left. So as we can see, let's start with 1 level scoop. So 1 serving size is 29.3 grams. Okay, so if we go down, this is protein powder, right? We're trying to get our weight. So we go to protein, and at protein, it says 23 grams. So that means the 29.3, you subtract that from 23, that means we have about 6.3 grams of fillers in it. Well, what in the world is it filled with? I'm glad you asked. Okay, so let's go down here to the ingredients. Okay, so VP2 double rich chocolate ingredients. This is obviously a chocolate protein. I don't know the company and I don't really care. Okay, so it says AST whey protein blend. Well, what's the blend? The blend is whey protein isolate. Cool, we just learned about that. That's not too bad. Okay, hydrolyzed, that's just another version or form for hydrolysate, and whey protein isolate. Okay, seems like they put that in twice or it's just different. I don't know what that is. A peptide, that's some type of amino acid. Isolated whey protein peptide, yep. Okay, engineered. Okay, so that means it's some way man-made. Immunoglobulin, GMP. Okay, let's scroll down to right here. So natural and artificial flavors. So let's not be fooled. Just because it says natural doesn't mean that it actually comes from natural. They could literally put one strawberry in this and call it natural just because it has something that's natural in it. Okay, so again, our food label, our regulations are very corrupt. Okay, they can get away with a lot of stuff as long as they manipulate it some way, shape, or form. So don't even fall for natural. Oh, hold on, go back. Sorry. All right. So don't fall for natural either. But our main ones, artificial flavors. Okay, soy lecithin, sucralose, and that big long word, acesulfame, potassium. Okay, so it's telling us this is artificial sweetened. What is it sweetened with? Sucralose and that aspartame potassium. Okay, sucralose, I just said, affects ladies, especially with GI disorder. Okay, you get that gassy, you get bloated, upset stomach. Okay, soy lecithin, so that means chances are this one probably doesn't stick. So if you use a throw scoop in some water or some milk, it'll probably dissolve very easily. Okay, but it's a GMO product. It even specified that it's soy. Okay, chances are soy is genetically modified. Okay, so this one would be one that you don't want to buy. Yes, it has 23 grams of protein in it, but it also has 6 grams of these different fillers in it, and we don't want that. Okay, we want to try to avoid that. Another rule of thumb is you want to try to keep the less ingredients, the better. Okay, so let's scroll over to the middle one. So the middle one scoop is 22 grams. This has 20 grams of protein. So that means it has about 2 grams of fillers. Okay, well, what are the fillers? If you look down, we have only 2 ingredients: whey protein isolate, perfect, and sunflower lecithin. Okay, I'll put that one more in the middle just because it was like, okay, it has a lecithin in it, but it's like it doesn't have all the artificial sweeteners and stuff in it. So that's why I put that one more in the middle. Like, okay, I guess that one can kind of skate. But if you look at the leucine, and you remember the slide that I mentioned, the leucine where the body hits into the muscle anabolic effect is 2.7 to 3 grams. This one only has 2.5. So right here, only has 2.5. So it's not even going to take us into that anabolic effect. It doesn't have enough leucine in it. Okay, so that's why I put this one more so in the middle. Sure, it only has 2 ingredients, but it's not sufficient enough to meet the demands of what we're trying to do. Okay, and then lastly, this one over here on the right. So 1 scoop is 26.17 grams. Okay, 20 grams of protein. So again, subtract the 26 from the 20, it has about 6.7 grams of fillers. Okay, again, now let's look to see what those fillers are. So scroll down to the ingredients. We got organic whey protein isolate. Perfect, that's what we want. We don't want concentrate. We want isolate or hydrolysate. Okay, one of those two. You don't want concentrate. Okay, then we got organic chocolate bean powder. I'm cool with chocolate. It's organic chocolate. Dark chocolate is actually really healthy for you. It tends to have a lot of fiber, a lot of antioxidants, a lot of iron. So my ladies, if you need some iron, real dark chocolate. I'm not talking about Hershey's dark chocolate. Real dark chocolate will help you out. Organic vanilla flavor. I'm cool with some chocolate and vanilla. I'll take the little mix. Okay, and stevia leaf powder. So it's sweetened with stevia. That's what's going to give it its sweet taste. And I'm cool with that because that's more on the natural side opposed to the artificial sweeteners. Okay, so that's why I ranked that. So the first one, don't go for it at all. Okay, reason being, it has fillers, it has artificial sweeteners, and it's genetically modified. Chances are it's probably a little bit cheaper than the other 2 on this list. Okay, the one in the middle, sure. All right, sorry. So it has 2 ingredients, but it doesn't have enough leucine to hit us into that anabolic effect to where the body wants to start to create more amino acids, which produces more protein. Okay, and it has sunflower lecithin, so that's probably genetically modified, which we try to avoid those. And then the one on the right, yes, it has more products. Yes, it does have 6 grams of fillers, but I like chocolate like the next person likes chocolate. I like vanilla as well. And it has some stevia. I use stevia in my oatmeal. I'm completely cool with that. Okay, so that's why I rank those. And next is questions. So let me see, how can I go back? Let's see. All right. I don't know how to unshare my screen. Let me see. There's me. I don't know how to exit. All right, let's see. Go to Facebook, see if you guys have any questions. Okay. Facebook, you guys have any questions for me? If so, type it in there. I'm willing to take let's go 5 minutes. Amy, do you have any questions? Let's see. This team is part of the family. It's poison. Yes, I agree with you, Christy. It's definitely poison. I didn't know anything about it until I started doing my own research and learning from Dr. Sims. What is a good tasteless isolate brand? I don't know, honestly. Again, I'm not here trying to promote products, so I can't sit here and tell you what's the best isolate brand to take. It's just, that's why I gave you the guidelines on what to follow, and just good luck, happy hunting. Okay, because I tried to look yesterday. I went on Vitamin Shop. I love Vitamin Shop, and I found some proteins that I was like, yes, the first couple ingredients were really good, and then I read on, and it's like, no, you fell apart. I try to go on Amazon and find some just natural grass-fed, like the naked whey protein. Most of those are concentrate. Again, we don't want the concentrate. We want the isolate or the hydrolysate. Okay, we want the more protein in it. So it's kind of hard to find. I don't know any particular brands. So let's just, I guess, just find some and share them if you find anything. Other than that, I have no idea. And again, I don't want to recommend any brands because we ultimately don't know what's in them. And I don't want anybody getting sick and blaming me. Okay, so that's all I can say about that. Any other questions? Sorry, Christy. I see the grr in the comments. So, yeah. All right. I guess there is no questions. So I hope you found this helpful. I am going to save this video. I am going to upload it to my YouTube. So give me a couple hours here and it should be up at least by tomorrow. But I'm going to try to get it done today. I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for watching. Leave some love. If you still have some more questions or comments or any other topics you want me to talk about, please feel free because I'm trying to get more people to do this, trying to get more interviews. I want to say thank you to Amy for coming on last week again. And I'm just hoping to just continue to keep doing this. So thank you guys. This is Tomas Ramirez from Positive Gains Training. I appreciate you guys and have a good day. Trainer Talk Tuesday, over and out. All right. How do I end this? I don't know how to end it. Oh, here we go. Stop. New screen. Go back to my screen.
Did it stop?
I think so.
Good job, dude.
Hold on. Pause share. Maybe not. Oh, there we go. End.